All right, shout out to the black and gold. We up in this thing, Sports Coma representing. Shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the show. In this episode, man, we're going to talk about the Saints being called, that's been called impressive by NFL executive after free agency spending. So the Saints getting some people, some admiration. That's what I meant to say from other people. So this is cool, man, to see this sort of thing happen for how the Saints are doing, because we finally functioning on a level where we're respecting our cap. We're being smart about things. For years, we've been out of our minds operating, but it's good to see the black and gold, man, are doing the things in a way which are showing a lot of responsibility, and people around the NFL are taking notice. So let's get right into this article. Y'all hit the like button as we get going as well. Saints roster called impressive by NFL executive after free agency spending. Now, this comes by way of an article from Sporting News. They're the source. The Saints have been struggling to get out of cap hit purgatory for a while now. They've been managing to field semi-decent rosters, but this year they finally gotten over the hump. Not only are they now in a much healthier space cap-wise, but they also have made a lot of moves over the last year or so to field a good roster that can compete in the NFC South. One executive, according to The Athletic's Mike Sando, even called the Saints roster building, quote, impressive, end quote, following their free agency decisions, both regarding their additions and subtractions. Saints received praise from impressive roster construction. The Saints build is impressive. I'll give it that, one NFL exec said. Etienne, or Etienne, is a fast guy who has the juice on that turf. Losing Demario and his leadership is tough. We also like Alontae Taylor as well. Those defensive losses are huge, but they make sense. They're not trying to build around 30-year-olds. So this was interesting. And this is the commentary from an anonymous NFL exec who is a good indicator of how the Saints rebuild has gone from an outsider standpoint or perspective. While Demario Davis and Alontae Taylor losses are pointed out as being tough pills to swallow, the acknowledgement is that those departures don't necessarily fit with the timeline of the Saints rebuild. Sure, those are two nice players to have on the roster, but those are losses that can be overcame. But more importantly, the additions they made receive praise. Travis Etienne Jr. is a big pickup and should be a valuable weapon for the Saints offense going forward alongside of Tyler Shuck and Chris Olave. David Edwards should help solidify the offensive line, which has a chance to be a very solid unit in 2026 with the first round tackles beefing up the interior. Despite having limitations with spending due to the final lingering impacts of the rough cap struggles, the Saints were able to piece together an offseason that has other NFL executives praising Slick Mick and the company for a job well done. Oh yeah, baby. I told you guys. Oh my God damn it. But it's very interesting to say the least, because this is true. And the Saints do deserve a lot of credit for that. Mickey and the former GMs, have to be a group. But it's really cool to see the Saints following the plan and using this opportunity now to position itself to be more valuable going into this upcoming season. They see Tyler Shuck as the vestige, which will take the Saints back to prominence, to get us back in a space where we're competing against the Carolina Panthers and others for the NFC South crown, which would ultimately take us back into the playoffs. So with a deep roster and a talented team, who knows how far we can go, baby? Who knows in amount of time in the next 3 to 4 years? That is the allotted window with a lot of this talent. It'll be interesting to see. All right, let's get to this. Some more news right here, fam. As the Saints announced the 2026 OTA and minicamp dates. New Orleans will begin their offseason workout program coming up on April the 20th. Man, we're only weeks away from April training starting for the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans announced the schedule for the Saints' upcoming offseason workout programs and mini camps for the 2026 season. The Saints will begin their offseason program on April the 20th. Organized team activities, or OTAs, will be held on May the 27th through May the 28th June the 1st, June the 3rd through 4th, and June the 10th through 11th. The mandatory minicamp will take place on June the 16th through the 17th. Per the collective bargaining agreement, each club's official voluntary 9-week offseason program is conducted in 3 phases. Phase 3 consists of the final 4 weeks of the program. Teams conduct a total of 10 days of organized team practice activity, or OTA. No live contact is permitted, but 7-on-7, 9-on-7, and 11-on-11 drills are permitted. Be sure to stay tuned. Shout out to Canal Street Chronicles for helping us out with the scoop. And there you go, man. We're getting closer. There's the training camp with the OTAs, and the mini camp is announced too. And it starts, man, April the 20th. A lot of this gets going. The program start April the 20th, man. We're getting close to draft. Is a couple of weeks away. You see April the 20th is barreling down, man. And it's just getting close to seeing some wonderful stuff happen for the Saints. And it'll be interesting to see how the Saints will react in a draft and which will be their pick. It'll be fun to notice that. And finally, fam, before we leave, we're going to do a little cap look. Right now, currently, according to Over the Cap, the Saints are sitting at $13.8 million over the cap, or in the black of the cap right now. So they got 13.8 plus mil right now to spend with everything hitting. As you can see, Chris Olave's 15.4 plus is still the highest base salary by far on the current books. Saints are looking to work on an extension to kind of change that, maybe drop it to some. Cesar Ruiz at $9.5 million is second, and then several other Saints are listed that you can kind of pile up with Pete Werner and Divine Gacho, and all these other guys would then follow along there as well. So, of course, we do realize, and we've covered it ad nauseum on the Sports Coma, about the fact that the Saints are still wanting Alvin Kamara to take a further cut in pay for this upcoming season. And I do think and believe that it's an attempt for the Saints to kind of, chop some money off there where they can be able to add it on to what could potentially be a long-term extension at some point, at some form or fashion, to what Chris Olave has going on. So we'll see how that all works out, man. But nonetheless, it's the Saints still are having an impressive offseason. We got a few things we got to take care of before we head on into the draft, but it's still cool understanding and noting that the New Orleans Saints are handling business the right way and punching down some stuff and taking care of some business. And shout out to Saints Wires. They delivered a scoop in this Monday run at you guys. Raiders, this is an article that happened. Of course, the Raiders, they pass on Derek Carr. This was speculated. Retired quarterback Derek Carr, who there were online statements by him that he would love to work with the Raiders along with Mendoza. The Raiders took a hard pass on Derek Carr, and they signed Kirk Cousins to help Fernando Mendoza after recently seeing him and deciding, hey, man, we might need a veteran until he is ready to step in there and start the position. So the Raiders pass on Carr, and we know that Clint Kubiak worked with him before, but we know Kubiak also worked with Kirk Cousins, not Carr. So Carr's former team wasn't interested in trading with the Saints to get him back. So if it makes sense that the Raiders wouldn't want to give up a draft pick and pay Carr's salary when they could just sign Kirk Cousins and have the Falcons to pay the part of his salary through offsets. So he's relatively a bargain, which is important for the QB2. They won't spend a lot of money there. And you also have to think about the context of signing a quarterback who was benched by his last team versus bringing the Raiders' all-time passing leader. Even if Carr was vocally supportive of the rookie and accepting his role as a mentor, if Mendoza struggles, there's going to be pressure put on number 4 in the game. Kubiak's experience with Cousins during 3 years together in Minnesota has factors too. He knows he can win with Kirk Cousins. He believes in Kirk Cousins. The worst kept secret in a secret in the NFL in the past year was his eagerness to join the Vikings. Sweep aside J.J. McCarthy, but they shut the door by signing Kyler Murray. The Jets then traded with the Raiders, ironically, for Geno Smith. The Miami Dolphins signed Malik Willis, and the Colts signed actually paid Daniel Jones. With the Raiders expected to draft Mendoza and a few other openings out there, would Carr really unretire to suit up for a directionless Raiders or Arizona team rather. It sure seems like the NFL has passed on them, but maybe things could change after the draft or even closer to November trade deadline. And it's still yet to be determined. It is not over until it's over with, meaning even though he's retired, the bottom line is if you're the New Orleans Saints, and the reality is this might be something more realistic as we get further into the season. You guys know it's a rough sport, and ultimately you start seeing guys get hurt, and then ultimately guys pivoting. You seen what happened with Phillip Rivers last year with the Colts going pull him up off the couch to be their guy. Could be the same effect with Derek Carr. He just has to stay in shape and stay ready to get that call. But the reality is also is the draft compensation, the money, and all this stuff have to play a factor in him as well. So it's still interesting to say the least on how the Saints choose to handle this thing. We'll just, it's of no consequence to us at the end of the day. The bottom line is the Saints have their quarterback of the future. They're building around him, and the future is bright for the Saints with that particular quarterback. With that being said, that's all I got for y'all on this stream. Please do me a service by hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on social media feed. Big Q representing the Who Dat Nation and the Flocket Nation. Big ups to everybody. Big ups to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the show. Feel free to get your prop bets at FanDuel. And also hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and notification bell as well for future content from the Sports Coma. Shout out to our Patreon and YouTube membership family, as always, for taking that extra step and support. If you want to help us out and be a part of the movement, please feel free to go to patreon.com/Pro Media Network to help out, or hit our link tree. The link is in the description section below. With that being said, man, that's all I got. Y'all, I'ma holler at y'all on the next report. Y'all hit that notification bell. I'll holler at you next time. Much love, peace, and who that to you.
Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that?
Hey, New Orleans! Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the Riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with the whotdatdaily.com. Your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit the whotdatdaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below or in the chat.